I want to ask about the pushback on the word data breach, because I think that's important. I think a lot, Facebook said people got it wrong. They were calling this a data breach. It wasn't a data breach, but if it wasn't a data breach and it was within Facebook's policies, isn't that even worse?
Well, this was certainly a breach of trust if in that people didn't expect it. But I think it's important to go back to, why did we build the developer platform in the first place, right? So in 2007, we launched the Facebook platform with the basic vision of making it so that you could have social apps, right? The idea was your calendar should be able to know what your friends' birthdays are and show them. Maps should show where your friends' addresses are. And in order to do that, you need to make it so that a person can sign into an app and bring some of their data, but also some basic data from their friends. And it enabled a lot of new kinds of experiences. But I think what we learned over the years after launching that was that it also led the way to a lot of scammy developers. So that's why, as early as 2014, we had already taken the step of locking down the platform and making it so developers and of apps like Kogan's couldn't get access to anywhere near the amount of data that they could before.
But you could see that damage is still being done, because you have years later, 50 million users had their data harvested for political purposes.
Yeah, I certainly think that we need to go back and make sure that of all the apps that people were using, any of them that were scammy, like what we've seen here with Kogan, who shared the data with Cambridge Analytica, that we go back and make sure that they get rid of all the data that they have, and then they're not doing anything improper. But I think it's important that people understand that we made the most important changes to protect people's data on the platform were these actions that we actually took in 2014. I am really glad now, sitting here today, that we got a little bit in front of that and took those steps years ago to make sure that this couldn't happen again today.
And I respond to the users who say you didn't get in front of it because we're here talking about it today.
Well, clearly I wish we'd taken those steps earlier. I mean, that I think is probably the biggest mistake that we made here is, knowing now that basically people, and the feedback from the community in the world, I think has overwhelmingly been that if you balance these two values of being able to take your data and some data from friends to be able to have social experiences on other apps on the one hand, this ideal of kind of data portability, and on the other hand, making sure that your data is always locked down and guaranteeing that it never goes anywhere. I think we started off a little bit on the idealistic and maybe naive side, right, of thinking that vision around data portability and enabling social apps was going to be what our community preferred. And I think what we've learned over time very clearly is that the most important thing always is making sure that people's data is locked down.